Hey everyone, it's Kyle from Cool Collectibles, back again for another review. This time it's the Hot Toys MMS390 Luke Skywalker. For all your 1/6 scale figures and more, click the link in the description below to head on over to Sideshow Collectibles. They ship worldwide, so definitely check them out. Alright, it's taken a while for Hot Toys to finally release this Luke Skywalker figure. The previous Force Awakens figures with old Han and Chewbacca, Rey, Finn, etc. have been out for quite a few months now. But it's finally good that they did release it. It's a shame that they didn't do a General Leia figure, but hopefully they'll get around to that for the Last Jedi. But onto this figure, as you can see, the box art is the usual style, so nothing really to write home about. But I do like the cardboard insert there with that artwork, and that's probably the pose that I will end up going with. And I guess it does come from that final scene with Rey in the movie. So it's probably the most appropriate pose for him, to be honest, finally revealing his face. So I'll just get the boxes out the way and get onto the accessories. Alright, the figure does come with the usual Force Awakens hexagonal stand here, which is just the same as pretty much all the others. And it does have the crotch grabber that you can put on the back. Now apparently with the pre-order bonus, you get this diorama base. Now I'm not sure if that's really the case with a pre-order bonus, or it's just going to come with every figure, but they did market it as a pre-order bonus. But regardless, the base doesn't look too bad. It's I guess the detailing and the paint application is pretty similar to the way they did the recent Yoda figure as well, with that diorama base. So the moss and so on is not glued on there or anything like that, unlike some of the figures from Asmus, etc. It's just molded on, but the paint app's not too bad, and the detailing is okay too. So you can just put that on there and have the figure standing like he does at the end of the movie. The other accessories, he does come with a couple of his mechanical hands. If this thing will focus. So the detailing in the hands is pretty good. I do like that. I haven't actually tried swapping them out yet, but that hopefully isn't too painful to do. And it does come with a sort of clenched fist type hand. So overall, the paint application is pretty good. Now I do think the hands are pretty damn big in comparison to the face. Maybe I'll try this other one here on his left hand here. So the left hand, it sort of looks out of proportion, like his mechanical fingers are much longer than his regular fingers, but I'm not sure if maybe I'm just looking at it wrong. Is that the knuckle there? I'm not sure, but either way it does look rather out of scale. And I guess in comparison to his face, if I just bring the figure back over, he does look like he's got some humongous hands. I mean, that hand pretty much covers up most of his face. Maybe that is not too bad, but I guess, you know, looking in comparison to the rest of his body, this relaxed hand that he's got here, you can really see how massive it is. I might grab another Obi-Wan's hands, for example, later on, just to give you a look, but they do look sizable, and the ball joint there is very, it's quite visible. And that probably contributes to the monkey arm look. But posed up with the fist and so on, removing his hood there, probably you probably won't notice it too much. But the overall detailing on the hands, as always with Hot Toys, they do done some fantastic work with their hands, and I do like the sort of old veins and so on. So pretty much in line with the way they did the Obi-Wan hands, which had a beautiful detailing in them. So that's pretty much it from an accessories perspective, but I'll get on to the figure. Alright, so as you can see, the figure stands pretty well on its own. The boots here, they're not fabric boots, they're sculpted, but there is an ankle joint there, which I'll show you guys a little bit later, and that really does add to the stability, so I do like that. I guess one point to start off with, looking at the overall figure and the outfit, it is very clean, and it would have been nice if they had weathered it a little bit better, or a little bit more. The cloak here, if I just take that off, the cloak attaches with a couple of magnets on either side here, and they just they must have some other points on the shoulders here, so you can take that off easily and have him traipsing around in his outfit like that. And the cloak itself is beautifully tailored. I love the material. I don't think there is I can't feel a wire anywhere, but it's sort of plaited like that, or at least styled like that. So you can sort of pose it, and there is a wire, I think. No, there's no wire in the hood either. So I guess you can sort of just place it around his head and maybe use a bit of water treatment or something to get it to fold nicely. But I do like the material, and I do like the way it looks on the figure itself. But the overall costume, I think, is pretty damn fantastic. Now there's no warning on the instruction manual to not take everything apart, but I normally don't like doing that anyway. I almost did it with the Obi-Wan figure, and I was lucky enough not to, because that looks like a real pain in the ass to get back together. But with this one, this is just Velcro at the back there, so you can take that all apart and probably try and adjust all of this stuff. But mine came out fairly centered, so you might just want to tug these around a little bit just to rearrange it the way you see fit. But the different materials that they've used, the tailoring and so on, is pretty damn fantastic. So I might go through the outfit just before I go back to the head sculpt here. But you get this outer cloak, or I don't know what you call that, the thing that just goes around the back here. And I just noticed that it's actually sewn onto the back for some reason, whereas it's not at the front, but it's sewn on back there, and it just comes around the shoulders like so, and down the front. So very nicely done there on both sides. And then underneath that you have this sort of creamier looking thing. I don't even know what that is. That sort of goes over his shoulders and back there as well. So it's like a semi-tunic type thing. And then he's got his undersuit here for his arms, and the bodysuit there up to that point there. So overall that's like 3 different layers on the top there. And then these pants are very similar to the sort of khaki type material. Nice and flexible, and it's loose, so it doesn't really hinder the articulation at all. So I do like that. And then they're just tucked into these boots here. So these boots unfortunately don't have any sort of fabric strapping or anything like that, but in the end, with this articulated ankle bit here, you can get a bit of rocking action and so on, so you can sort of place his feet fairly flat on the ground in some of those poses. They have tried, I think, on some of the leather booted figures to have a single piece, but it's never really, the ankle joint inside those boots has never really been designed really well, and it always leaves this sort of weird thing, indentation at the back, which doesn't really look very good. But these boots, I think, look pretty good. Probably not as good as the DX07 Luke boots, which were pretty good, and I think were fabric from memory. I might just have to have a quick squeeze. Yes, they are fabric, so they could have done that, but I guess with the cost of these things these days and their own cost cutting, they've probably just decided to go with the sculpted boots. But overall, not too bad. The belt, I think the belt buckle and the weathering on that could have been done a little bit nicer. It just looks like this weird snow effect in the middle there. And the belt itself and this pouch thing, there's not really too much weathering there. So that could have been done a little bit better too, but overall it does look pretty nice. So that's pretty much it for the outfit. It does feel like there's some sort of weird soft padding on the suit there, so it's definitely not a regular body, and there feels like there's a lot of foam in there. It sort of hinders the articulation a little bit or quite a bit, so I wouldn't try and play with that too much, but at least the arms feel like they're fairly free moving, double jointed elbows as always, and the legs here articulate fairly well, so you get pretty good range of motion up and to the sides, and so the pants don't hinder the articulation at all. You get double jointed knees as always, and I showed you the articulation in the ankles before. So overall the articulation is as you would want it for these types of figures. And the head rotation is pretty good too, so you can look down, not too far up. And I guess they have put the eyes in a looking to the left type position, so I guess you might want to be sort of pointing them in that direction when you display them. But I guess I don't mind the fact that they've moved the eyes slightly. I guess it always adds a bit of variety and stops that sort of dead stare. But while we're on the head, I'll get onto the head sculpt. So when the figure first released, a lot of complaints were centered around the fact that people thought they had modified the head sculpt. But in this particular case, I don't think they have done that at all. I think the sculpt itself is pretty much spot on. I think the angle of the eyes might have changed a little bit, but the base sculpt itself, I can't really see too much of a difference between the original prototype that you see there and the final release figure. I guess from a paint perspective though, the hair is a lot grayer and whiter, and I guess similar to the way they've done the old Han Solo, the hair it doesn't have that sort of grey speckled through it. It's more of a goldish, brownish colour. So I think if they had added a bit of the grey like they had done on the beard here and added the grey into the hair, I think that would have helped the overall likeness. But as always, Hot Toys excels at their facial paint applications, and I think the detailing in the sculpt, the eyes, and even the beard itself, I think are pretty damn fantastic. So overall, I don't have any particular complaints with this sculpt at all. And the detailing in the hair, as you can see there, pretty much shows why Hot Toys are far and away the best at head sculpting. I think the sort of real fine stranding in the hair is worlds above what the likes of Asmus Toys do, for example, on their hair. Their hair they really do need to improve on their hair. And if they take a leaf out of Hot Toys' book here, they'll go a long way to that. So overall, I think the head sculpt is pretty damn good. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the figure. Hopefully you like that quick look at it. I will be posting up a few more photos on the Facebook page with the rest of the Force Awakens figures, with old Han and Chewie, for example, and Rey, of course. So hopefully you can head over to the Facebook page and check that out too. But hopefully you can click that like and subscribe button. I do have the Hot Toys Wonder Woman finally shipping from Sideshow as well in the next couple of weeks, I think, in the first week of September. So hopefully you can subscribe and stay tuned for that. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers. Bye.